The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery.
Welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. I am your host, Rachel. We have co-host RJ, and we have Sara Clark in the building today. Hello. Sara is my favorite half-ass lawyer girl. She's not a half-ass lawyer. Actually, she's a full-ass lawyer. And I'm really excited to get into your story because I'm realizing, like, all the girls in the group, like, I haven't heard full extent until we've had people on, so I'm really excited for this.
Me too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So wait, where are you from?
Oklahoma.
Yes.
Born and raised.
Got
Oklahoma. Yeah.
Right. And you're an attorney now.
I am.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
That's rad.
And she was once a crippling drug addict, so that's insane. So we're gonna get into the story. Let's start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. Born and raised in Oklahoma, only child to my mom and dad. My mom was a normie. My dad was a drug addict. And they would party together and they would, go out on the weekends and do cocaine. And Monday morning, my mom would get up and go to work. She was a CPA, type A person. And my dad would be like, what are you doing? We're just getting started, and that was fine until she had a kid. And then she was like, whoa, we can't be doing this now. Mm-hmm. So she left him when I was like 4. I don't really have any memories of them together. And so my young life was really two totally different worlds, right? So I'm with my mom most of the time, type A, CPA, never had a speeding ticket, follows the rules. And then my dad, who just, he couldn't keep a house. He couldn't keep a job. He couldn't stop doing drugs and drinking. Everybody was always mad at him. My grandma was mad at him. My mom was mad at him. And I remember from a very young age being like, I'm never going to do that when I grow up.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be in a situation where everybody's mad at me all the time. And he would do things like, when I would get money for Christmas, he would say, oh, let me borrow that, and he'd take the money and then obviously never give it back.
Right.
He would ask me, hey, we're going to go over here. I need you to go knock on the door and ask them if we can stay the night, because obviously they're going to say no to him because they're tired of his shit.
Right.
But to a little kid,
no to
they can't say no to me, And so we'd end up places where people didn't really want us to be because they felt bad for him.
And how old were you? And do you remember what that time period was like?
Yeah, like 5, 6, 7.
Wow.
Like little, yeah. And I remember him and his friends would go in the other room for grown-up time, and that's how I learned what weed smelled like. And I would come home and tell my mom this stuff. And my mom, bless her heart, she was just so codependent that she could not say no to him. And now that I'm raising a child who has parents that are addicted, I just can't even imagine letting my kid go in those situations,
Yeah. And so what, your dad was like, no, I want her.
Yeah.
And your mom would just say yes.
Yeah. And he would do things like call my mom and be like, oh, I'm having a really bad day. I need to come get Sarah so she can cheer me up. And years later, my mom would be like, it wasn't your job to cheer him up. Right. Like you were a little kid. So
did you feel that pressure on you like at that age? Or?
Yeah. And I felt like I needed to take care of him from a young age, know? So I say he took my money. I gave it to him anytime. Like I remember when I was 7, I would get $7 for allowance, and I'd like save it up for a couple weeks and take it to him. I remember thinking as a little kid, like, I'm going to save it up so I can get him a house, And I'd ask him, like, why can't you buy a house? Like, obviously I didn't understand. You have to have credit and all of that to buy a house, And so, I just remember worrying from a very young age, like if he showed up, he had this little Ford Ranger. It was dark green. He showed up one day and the whole side of it looked like foil, like just crumpled because he had flipped it. And it was just like,
all messed up,
crushed on one side. Yeah. And so, I just
chaos.
Spent my young life worrying about him,
Yeah.
And it was, I always say it was normal to me, right? Because that was my life. I think all of us, our childhoods seem normal. We don't know anything different. But I did know something different because like with my mom, I knew this was not okay, So even though I couldn't say that at that age, like as a little kid, I knew this is not right. Something is not right here. And that I think I became codependent too, because I wanted to take care of him and I watched my mom take care of him even after they split up, so.
Right.
So when did you first use drugs?
I held out for a long time. I was a really good kid.
I was the same way.
Same.
Yeah.
I was like, I think that's
there was
so
like a
common.
switch. Like I was so against drugs and people that were doing them and whatever. And then something, I don't know.
Yeah. And you hear stories all the time of people that are like, I started drinking when I was 8, when I was 11, I was 15, and all through school, I never got, in trouble. I never got detention. I never got suspended. You know, I was a good kid, honest kid, did what I was supposed to do, hung out with people that smoked and drank and stuff, and was always like, nope, not me. Nope, not me. And I don't know why I said yes the first time I did, but this kid I knew had a shed in the backyard where they had like couches and radio and stuff out there, and the sister would buy alcohol, and I would go with them often to sit out there, but I just no. And then this one weekend I said yes. And I remember I used to tell the story like, you know, all of a sudden I felt like I was cool enough and pretty enough and smart enough and all these things. But I think what it really was for the first time in my life, I wasn't obsessing over what you guys were thinking about me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like I could just breathe and just sit with myself and not obsess over what everyone else thought.
Thinking of
Right.
me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So where did it go from there once you started? Was it like immediate all the time?
I didn't set out. I didn't
Okay.
set out for it to be like that. I mean, I went home. I was only 15, so my mom picked me up, told her I didn't feel well. She didn't ask any questions. I did start to drink when it was around. And then when I was 16, I took Xanax for the first time. And that's when I fell in love with Xanax because it just took everything away, you know?
Yeah.
I remember the first time I took it, we went to get Wendy's and we came back, and I just remember it was like I woke up and was like, wait, how did we get this?
Yeah.
You know?
Time travel.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I like this, you know? So I started taking Xanax. I mean, there's a kid at school who would sell them at school. Nobody would let him out of his class. Like they all kind of knew he was a bad kid, but they didn't. Everyone just thought I was a good kid. So I'd take my little notebook and knock on the door and be like, I'm in your book. I need to get a quote from so-and-so.
Yeah.
And he'd come out and I'd buy some pills from him and go back to class, you know. I did graduate high school. I was 17 when I graduated because my birthday fell weird. And I did okay. I mean, my real issue was that I stopped going to class, you know, but my grades were decent enough that I still graduated, and I was just ready to get out of there and move on with my life. And then that's when shit really hit the fan. After I graduated, I was supposed to I did go to OSU, Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, which is like a small town in Oklahoma. And they're kind of known for partying. It's a college town, you know. But that summer I got arrested for the first time.
What'd you get arrested for?
My friends and I went to the river is what we call it. And you like float down the river and drink. And of course we'd taken too many Xanax. And by the end of the river, me and my best friend are like fist fighting. And the cops
sounds like
come.
such a great time, doesn't it? Like I feel like Oklahoma, like that's so cool. Like I didn't grow up that way. You know what I mean? Like going and
float the river.
God,
Yeah.
that sounds like such a great
Which
childhood.
I haven't gone back to float the river since I got sober.
Oh, wow.
That'd be a good experience.
It's
I
fun.
know,
So
we should.
I
Rewrite it.
never did that shit growing up, but it's huge in Texas too. And we did it. I remember like my first sober living took us to go float the river. And when you're with a bunch of sober people, it's
That'd
like
be so much
everyone
fun.
else is trashed around you, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
But it was really fun.
Yeah. And that's why I haven't gone back, because in my head, I'm like, it's just a place to go get fucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
but
Oh,
when
I
you're
know
with
our
a
next
group of-
girls trip. We're going to float. Okay.
Yeah. So I started getting arrested. I'm only 17.
Okay, wait. So walk us through that time you got arrested. You and your best friend are getting into a fist
Okay,
fight.
we're
and then,
fist fighting,
yeah.
rolling around in the dirt in bikinis.
Do you remember what it was over or no?
No, I don't.
Some stupid.
Yeah.
Some is
Zan-
just,
you know,
yeah.
the
Yeah,
did
no,
not
I
allow
don't even
that.
remember. I just know somewhere along the
You
line
stole something.
we got mad at each other,
Yeah.
probably over who was going to get. I know we only had one Xanax left because
Oh,
when
yeah.
we got our car back the next day, we had that one and we got in another fight over who's getting the
Yeah.
one. So maybe that's what it was over. I don't know. But the cops come, everybody else, well, there's only 4 of us. The other people there were all 18, so they arrest them immediately. I'm so entitled and just oblivious that I'm 17. The cop, there's one beer left. He hands it to me and I'm like, thank God, you know, and I open it like he's like, no, ma'am, you're going to pour that out. And in my head, I really thought he was handing me the beer
Like
because
you're okay because you're a minor.
he just
Like-
realized who I am and I
God.
deserve this beer. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how crazy I
Yeah,
was.
yeah. That's also Xanax too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Right?
true.
Like no anxiety. You're like, oh yeah, cool, man.
Thank you. Yeah. So he takes me to jail too in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. The other 3 had to be bonded out because they were 18. My mom had to come get me. So my mom comes and picks me up and bonds my friends out and is like, all right, y'all need to chill. Goes and gets my truck out of impound and we're just off to the next adventure. And I mean, that just was my mom's personality so much.
Did she know, like, prior to this that you were fucking around or no?
Yeah, I think I told her one time. And we like talked about it. I remember there was, because of the Xanax, my memory is not great, but she did follow me and my friend around. I think I told her one time that I had been taking Xanax And she like called a doctor who said you can have really bad withdrawals from that.
Right.
And so she followed me and my friend around for like a week to make sure that we didn't die, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're fine. And I think it was early enough in my addiction that I was able to really stop for a week and was just like, okay, it's not that big a deal.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that too. Did you notice yourself being physically dependent on it in that time? Or not yet?
No.
Okay.
No. And I mean, she got on to us, but there were like no consequences from that really, you know? And so I just kept going, and I went to Stillwater in August. I turned 18 in September. I got arrested twice in 1 week and kicked out of school in October. And then
what was that for?
Biological dad died in November.
Oh my God.
So it was just
That's
like
a
boom,
lot,
boom, boom. Yeah. So I lived in Stillwater, and I had this boyfriend from high school who also, his dad lived in Stillwater, so he wasn't going to school, but him and his dad were living there, and he had family there. And so my cousin and I go to Stillwater. My cousin's like from a real small town in Oklahoma. She had never drank, never smoked a cigarette, never had a boyfriend, like just a
Very
cowgirl.
sheltered,
Yeah, spent all her time with her horses. Like and we went to OSU to get an agricultural degree to become farmers because we wanted to own a horse farm, right?
Wow.
This was like our childhood dream.
That's so cool.
Now I'm like, thank God that didn't work out because I'm way too high
I feel like
maintenance
that's
to do
so
that.
it's so Oklahoma. It's like so.
I was going to
like,
say, I
perfect,
could not
right?
imagine you being a fucking
Wow. She becomes an attorney instead.
Yeah. So my cousin, I still have so much guilt over this, even though I have made amends, but she's just in that dorm room by herself, and I'm not going to school. I'm hanging out with this boyfriend. His dad had him really young, so he's like in his 30s and we're teenagers, and he's taking us to bars and getting us in and buying us beer. So the first time that week we got arrested on a Monday. We're driving from Perkins, which is like 10 minutes away, to Stillwater, and we get pulled over and we had alcohol in the car. Even though it wasn't open or anything, and we both told the same story. Oh, his dad left it in here. They were like, yeah,
But you
no.
were under 21.
Minor in possession. That day I had on like red shorts and a yellow jersey and cowboy boots that had been duct taped together, and they took me to jail in that. It was so embarrassing.
Oh no.
My mom comes and gets me out again because I'm not 18 yet. Or wait, that was the first time I was 18. Yeah, that was in October. I was 18. So then Thursday night, he and I go to my dorm room. My cousin had gone back to where she was from. We go to the dorm room. I had an Altoids can with Xanax. My real dad hadn't died yet, and he was prescribed to Oxycontin. So he had Oxy 80s, which I didn't really know about yet.
The good old days.
So he had robbed this lady in Oklahoma City, and he needed me to sell his prescription to her. But because he had robbed her, I had to take his name off the label. Right. So I take the name off the label. I take it to her. Turns out they're generic. She's like, I don't want these. I can't sell these. And so I'm like, okay, I write her a check. I'm like, just give me till Monday. I'm going to take them to Stillwater. I'll sell them. And then you can cash that check. Okay. I didn't know anybody that bought those, so I don't know what I was thinking. But anyways, when the cops come, I had a roach. I tried to hit it. I did everything you're supposed to do. I put the towel under the door. I lit the candle. I opened the window. I light the roach. It falls apart. Instead of throwing it out the window, I put it back in my cigarette pack. Somebody calls the cops. They show up. You're not allowed to have boys in your dorm after midnight. They start going through my bag. They find an Altoids can. They're like, what is this? I'm like, Altoids. They find this prescription. I'm like, it's my dad's. I swear it's my dad's. They're like, well, where's the name on it? You know what I mean? I mean, nothing I said made sense. They let him walk. They let him leave. And they took me back to jail. So I call my mom again. I'm like, Mom, I'm in jail again, you know. It's everybody else's fault. The cops here are like really overbearing. They need to calm down. I know it's a small town. You know, I just can't take any accountability. And back then, I don't know if it's still like this, but you go to jail on Thursday and they take you all.
Monday.
No, Friday morning. They took us all into court in our oranges with chains on our ankles and bellies and all that. So my mom and my stepdad show up to court. My stepdad is sober. And so they basically were like, we'll bail you out of jail again, but you have to go to rehab. And I'm like, oh, jail or rehab. That's like a really tough decision, you know? Someone told me, they said, we found a place in Guthrie. That's where we're going to send you, which is like a town over, like 20 minutes away. Someone else at the jail, I'm like going back and forth from people I know to my parents. Like, what am I going to do? Someone at the jail said, oh, that place in Guthrie, it's just a 3-day evaluation. They're going to make sure you're not crazy. It's fine.
Oh,
just
it's
do
easy.
it. Yeah. Just do it. I'm like, okay, fine. So I go to this place in the middle of nowhere. It's like a little house in the woods for girls 18 and under. And my parents do all this paperwork and stuff. And I'm like, it's a Friday. So I'm asking these girls, like, does the weekend count towards my 3 days?
Yeah,
I just got kicked out of school. My mom just took my car away. I don't have anywhere to live. I don't have a job. But in my head, I'm like, I got shit to do. I can't be here till Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they all started laughing. And I'm like, what's so funny? And they were like, this is a 90-day program. You're not going home in 3 days. I know. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I white knuckled it for 7 days. And then I took off and I hitchhiked from Guthrie back to Stillwater. But those girls told me people run away. I guess I told someone I was running away, which looking back was a terrible decision. They're like, girls run away from here all the time. The cops always come get them and bring them back. So like you can run, but they're going to come get you. Well, I was young and dumb. I didn't realize I was 18. I wasn't court ordered to be there. You know, they couldn't come get me. Most of those girls were minors. But that was enough fear to keep me sober for like 2 years. Because I laid in bed at night shaking. I was like, the cops are coming. They're coming to get me.
They're coming for me.
Yeah. So I moved back to Oklahoma City. I wrote a letter to the dean of OSU asking if I could go back to school. They let me go back, which I didn't go back to Stillwater. I went to the Oklahoma City campus. I got my 2-year degree there. I got a job working at a hotel. I got a little apartment. Like things were going good.
What was that 2 years like? Like, were you completely sober?
Completely sober, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't go to any meetings or anything.
You got scared straight.
Yeah.
Scared straight, yeah.
For a minute.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and then my dad died a month after that happened, which I think also kind of scared me into like, damn, I don't want to die like that, you know?
How did your dad pass?
He had a brain aneurysm, which he had one when he was younger, and I don't, it's not like an overdose where you can be like it's directly related, but I do think he would have had a better chance of living. He was only 50 if he hadn't spent the last 40 years using and drinking, and his body was just.
And what was his thing? What did he use?
He always liked downers, but in the end it was oxys. I mean, he was prescribed to 380s a day and did that whole pill shuffle of like, the prescription's $2,000. So you got to sell some to get the prescription. Then you run out early and then you got to get more. And, just this never ending thing of.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember I would get them for him and take them to him if he didn't have any. And as soon as I'd get there, he'd grab them and just put them in his mouth and chew them up. And I'd be like, oh my God, Dad, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But looking back, I'm like, okay, I mean, if you're sick.
Yeah.
You need them.
Yeah. I wouldn't, that's not my method of choice.
Right.
Yeah. Chewing them up.
Yeah. So I'm sober for a couple years from the time I'm like 18 to 20. And then, I have a little group of friends and they're all going to the bars on the weekend and dancing. And I'm like, I can go to the bar and dance. And really, Xanax is my problem. And as long as I don't take Xanax, everything will be okay.
I can have a drink.
Yeah. I'm about to be 21. I can drink like a normal person. No big deal. And I had gone to a couple meetings. I had a friend whose dad had been sober forever. He's been sober like 40 something years now. And, he took us to some meetings and we would read the book and we'd like highlight stuff and be like, oh my God, this is us. This is so cool. So like in my head, I had done that. I had done 12-step, right?
Yeah.
And it didn't work for me. And, anyways, I start drinking again and that quickly turns, I don't really like the feeling of being drunk. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But it definitely lowers my inhibitions. Yeah. To where I'm like, lower tabs don't sound that bad. Yeah. Yeah. And I had tried pain pills. I had friends who were addicted to pain pills. My dad, I had never done like Oxycontin, but I had tried like lower tabs and stuff. So this is the first time, not the first time, but it was the first time that I really liked it, that I took them and was like, ooh, this feels good. And then from there, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard the story a million times. You take 2 on Friday night and then 3 on Saturday night. And then next week you take 4 on Friday and 5. And then you're taking them every day. And then you upgrade to Percocets. And
then you try to stop.
Yeah.
And then you can't.
Yeah. And then, and that was like 2010, 11-ish probably. And so that was right around the time they were like changing the Oxycontins.
To the OPs.
Yes. And then those you had to chew up because you didn't really have another option.
Yeah.
They were getting harder and harder to find. And it's funny because in the group chat, we'll talk about like pills and how much they cost and stuff. And like being in the middle of the country, they were just outrageous. I mean, people were paying
but what were they going for?
$35-$40 for the Roxy 30s.
Oh yeah. I got like that in New York too.
There was $1 a milligram.
Okay. Yeah, because the 80s, I remember when they were like kind of going away, people were selling them for over $100 a pop.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Roxy's were up to like 30, 35,
Yeah.
sometimes
the
40.
standard price was like 50 cents a milligram. Like
Right.
in the
Yeah.
earlier days, it was like
Right.
You
When they
got 'em for
first came
$15.
around, yeah,
Right.
they were cheap.
Yeah.
But then it's supply and demand and everybody's a fiend now, you know? So that's how it really went.
Yeah.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
And I knew a few people who had prescriptions, and we would like call around to every pharmacy and be like, do you have the OCs or the OPs?
they
And
don't
drive like hours if we could find one in a small town of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, it was
Goddamn.
crazy times. Yeah,
So did you upgrade?
I did. So I couldn't find any pills one day. And, you know, I'm getting sicker and sicker. I'm calling around. And I finally call this guy that I'd known since I was young, you know, probably like 12, 13, middle school. And I trusted him. He was smart, you know what I mean? In my head, like he wasn't a junkie or whatever.
Right.
And I call him. I'm like, can you get any pills? No, but I can get you some heroin. And I hung up on him because I was like, what do you think I am, a junkie?
yeah.
I would never do that.
That's
What?
disgusting.
Yeah.
And then a couple
no.
more hours goes by.
And I sold myself this lie. I'm just going to do it this one time. And tomorrow I'm going to get some pills and everything will go back to normal.
That's right.
You know, and I do it that first time and there's just no going back from that. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You know what I mean? Like, why would I pay more for less?
For sure.
Was it tar where you are? Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you smoke it the first time?
No, I shot it the first
The
time.
first time.
Were you shooting the oxys?
No, that was the first time I used a needle. That guy, he took me to get it. He introduced me to the dope man, which was a terrible mistake of his.
Wow.
And he shot me up that night for the first
Damn.
time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
What were you feeling up until like those moments right before where you like, where was your head at?
I think I was really like delusional thinking like, I'm just going to do it this one
just
time.
this time.
Yeah, it's going to be okay.
And I just need to get well.
And you're
I
sick,
just need
right?
to get well.
Just need
That's
to get
right.
well. Right.
And up to that point, like I had a place to live and I could keep a job for like a 6-8 months, you know, and I had a vehicle and like my electric would get cut off and I had to rob Peter to pay Paul. And like I was telling lies and stuff, but I wasn't just like, I
Full
was,
on.
Yeah, I was like
You were
kind of
living in your
functioning
car
like that.
and just
yeah.
totally
Yeah,
falling
yeah,
apart. Yeah.
You couldn't just look at me and be like, oh my God.
That's
Yeah.
a junkie.
Yeah, like I was kind of functioning, you know?
Right.
And so I don't know. I just thought it was all going to be okay. So he introduces me to that guy that night. He uses my phone to talk to him and takes me inside and introduces me to him. So I never
Now
called
you
the
got his
middleman
phone number.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, we get high together for a long time. He ends up going to prison and it was just within 6 months, my life was in shambles. You know what I mean? Like I lost my house. I couldn't keep a job. I'm wearing hoodies in the summertime, 100-degree heat because I have track marks everywhere.
Right.
My veins got ruined very quickly. I don't know. I feel like I see old drug addicts that have just been using forever and they're fine. But I mean, mine were just ruined so quickly.
That was probably God.
I know.
Were you shooting only heroin or were you mixing it? Were you doing speedballs or?
Only heroin.
Yeah, I was shooting crack and heroin,
Yeah.
and my veins all just collapsed.
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That'll
Couple
do
months,
it.
I just like couldn't
Yeah.
hit anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
That's how it seemed like a couple months. And I'm like, all the people around me have been doing this for years.
Yeah.
And yeah, some of them are hard to hit, but like, what the hell?
I think some people are just blessed with good veins.
I know. My husband, I mean, they're still, I'm like, I
Yeah.
could throw a dart and hit that thing.
Yeah, just vascular, just all over. I just don't have them. I just don't have.
Yeah, I still don't have them. Yeah.
It's like what?
Yeah. Which is crazy because I kept going to rehab. We'll get to that part in a minute, but I kept, every time I'd get in rehab, I'd be like, oh my God, oh my God.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
You
I'd
can
leave.
feel one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd leave early. And so the
Oh,
last time I
God,
went to
dude.
rehab, I was praying like, God, I don't need veins. Don't ever let them come back. And they're still not really back. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's fine. I mean, when I need blood drawn like once every 6 months, it kind of sucks. But other than that, I'm like, I don't
Yeah, you're like,
I don't
oh,
need to
yeah.
see them
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next, I tried heroin for the first time when I was 22. I got sober when I was 25. So those 3 years are just a whirlwind of like
Just shooting dope.
staying with random people, lying, stealing, robbing people. Every time it would get really bad, I'd call my mom. I'd be like, Mom, I need to go to rehab. She'd come pick me up, buy me clean underwear,
Yeah.
send me to some nice ass place where you
How
can
many different rehabs do you think you went to in that
8.
period? 8.
Wow.
8 total. Yeah.
And how long
Including-
would you stay normally?
So the first 7 times I left early. The longest I stayed was 36 days in a 90-day program. But I kept, I would go to these places and I would start to feel better. And I'd be like, remember that time you ran away when you were 18? You only stayed 7 days. You ran away and you stayed sober. You can do this. You don't need these stupid little meetings and their stupid little book. And you know what I mean? You're smarter than all these people, Sarah. You could do this. And I meant that shit. I believed it, And then I would go back to the same people, places, and things. Yeah. And by the end of the night, we're celebrating me being sober by getting high.
Yep.
And it's just this cycle that I can't get out of. And the only people I know are people that use drugs. You know what I mean? So it was miserable.
Let's get into you missing your butt cheek. Okay. Let's get into the story of how that happened.
Oh, wait. I feel like I heard
not anymore. Not anymore. But yeah, let's get into why don't you explain?
Okay, so I ruined all my veins, right? Yeah. And so now I'm what we called muscling it. I don't know. It. I don't think that's a.
No, it is. It is. It's a medical term. Yeah,
is it?
You IM it. It's intramuscular.
Oh,
Okay.
No, that's a medical thing.
I thought we were just making shit up. Okay.
No. If you can't hit a vein, they will IM all sorts of medications.
Wow.
Yeah.
True. Okay. Yeah. So I'm muscling it just wherever,
boom.
butt cheek.
So big old infections and just fucking
yes and that was the other thing, like all my friends had staph infections where we had to pull out the string and put them back in and can you fix my thing for, and we were like, so disgusting. We were all like fixing each other's dressings and shit, like
and having to go to the hospital and they lance it and antibiotics
and they know what it's from and you try to act like they don't. Like,
I don't know. I got bit by a spider.
So
it's always a spider bite.
Of course.
Yeah. So I muscle it in my butt cheek one day. I'll never forget. I'm sitting in the AutoZone parking lot.
How bad did that hurt when you would IM it? It would hurt, right?
It would sting a little bit, but I was already hurting. You know what I mean? Like I needed it enough. And usually I would try to sit and hit a vein for a couple hours. So that by that time,
you're done. Yeah. You're like,
sweating
fucking
and
do
crying
it.
and just like, all right.
Pincushion, blood everywhere. Fuck.
Yes. Rusty.
Requiem for a dream type shit, dude. That's so good.
Dull ass needles. Okay. So I muscled in my butt cheek and I passed out. I'm sitting in my car in the AutoZone parking lot and I wake up and I'm like, that isn't supposed to happen, but in my head I'm like, hell yeah, that must be some good shit, you know what I mean, like whatever. And so I just go on about my day. I'm living with like a friend and his baby mama, and that was like a whole situation because like they're on the run and like the bondsmen keep knocking on the door and shit. Me and my dog are just in our room like trying to stay in our little space, you know. Anyway, so at first it's like a mosquito bite kind of, but I feel like I have the flu. And so I'm like, and the guy that lived in that house did meth. And so when I started to feel sick, I'd be like, let me have some of that. And so then I'd smoke with him. Right. And that wasn't helping. More heroin nothing was helping. And this little spot keeps getting bigger and bigger. And at one point he's like, oh, I think you just hit your butt on a doorknob. And I'm like, I would think I would remember if I smacked myself hard enough with a doorknob. Like that doesn't even make sense. So I go to the ER and I was honest. I'm like, look, I'm an IV drug user. I don't know what's going on. They give me some antibiotics. They're like, you're fine, go home. I wait a few days. I go back to the ER. I'm like, this is not normal. It's like getting bigger. It's like hot to the touch, like
I'm freaking out.
Antibiotics, send me home. No big deal. So finally it gets to the point where like, I feel like I'm dying. I call my mom and she comes and gets me. And I'm trying to decide how graphic do you guys want me to get?
Full on.
Okay, she picks me up. By this time, it's like there's like pus. It's like oozing. She picks me up. I have on like full butt underwear, shorts, sweats, and a towel. And we drive like 10 minutes to her house. And by the time we get to her house, all of that is soaked. Wow. And it smells terrible because it's an infection, right? And it's like sounds like a milk jug. Like when you shake my butt cheek, it's like. Wow. So she's like, get in the shower right now and wash it. So I get in the shower and it's just like never ending. I'm like sitting on this little ledge washing my butt cheek and it's just, she's like, Sarah, you have to go to the hospital. And I'm like, Mom, I've already been to the hospital. They don't care. They gave me antibiotics. I'm taking them, whatever. And she's like, no, like she forced me to go to the hospital. And thank God she did. Cause they said if I would have gone to sleep that night, I wouldn't have woken up. My immune system was about to crash. So they rushed me into surgery. They put a PICC line in my neck. And they just took all that dead skin, which was not just skin. It was like skin. It was muscle. It was
gone.
Everything. Yeah. Then they put a wound vac on it. So now I'm in the hospital with this wound vac, which is basically like a suction cup on your raw meat.
Yeah.
And they come and rip it off every few days and put a new one on. Yeah, it was miserable. Then
Are you dope sick while you're in the hospital, or they're giving you shit?
Because this was a blessing. My doctor's son was a heroin addict. So he understood, like, she has a tolerance. We're going to give her twice as much as a normal person.
Oh, thank God.
So he was giving me twice as much Dilaudid as a normal person, which the hospital is a drug addict's dream, right? I'm damn near homeless.
Right.
Now I got cable TV,
And you
3
got
meals a day.
IV Dilaudid.
Straight to my heart. Yeah, they're giving me Xanax in between because I keep telling them how bad my anxiety is, which I really don't even have anxiety, but you know. My mom feels sorry for me instead of bitching at me all the time. She's coming up there and like bring me a little electric razor to shave my legs and shit. Like I would have stayed there forever.
You're okay with the vac.
Yeah.
You're okay. Like
You're like,
put a
this
vac,
is good.
New vac. It's fine.
Yeah. And then every time they would do that, I would like freak out, and so they'd give me more drugs to calm me the fuck down.
Oh my
you know
God,
what I mean?
dude.
I mean, it was
good.
heaven. Yeah.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
Yeah.
So what, you spent like what, a week?
A couple months.
Holy shit.
A
In the
couple
hospital?
months in the hospital. Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I had people bringing heroin. I was putting it in my IV.
That's a dream.
It was a dream. That's what I'm saying. I would have stayed forever. And they kept saying, like, we need to take you off the IV meds and start giving you some oral meds. And I'm like, not yet. By the time they discharged me, I did not switch to oral meds because I was like, no, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Sounds terrible. Yeah. So then they had to take a skin graft from my leg to cover up the wound there. So then I just have like this big ass indent in my butt cheek for 10 years almost.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Holy, and how old were you at that time?
I was 23 maybe.
23. And you got sober at 25.
That's the crazy part, is that the chaplain was coming in there talking to me saying, you know, you're going to die. My mom had not been letting me live with her because she knew I was a liar and a cheater and thief, you know. And I went, she let me go home with her that night because I couldn't walk. I couldn't bathe myself. I couldn't sit down, you know. And before it was even dark, I had jumped a fence and was off and running because I just could not sit in my skin sober, you know.
God damn.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I feel like these stories are so important to tell, you know what I mean? Because it's so against our human power to stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, we just can't. It doesn't matter. I had an abscess right here on my wrist. You can kind of see the scar here. And this swelled up so bad when I was homeless. I couldn't pull a sweatshirt over it. And I went to the hospital. I mean, this was like out to here, right? My whole hand just looked like a balloon.
Yeah.
And they cut it open, started draining it, and put a PICC line in me. And they left the room, and I squeezed the antibiotics and then unhooked it, put my sweatshirt on, and ran out of the hospital. Because I'm like, I got a PICC line in me now.
Yeah.
Oh,
good to go.
Because I couldn't hit.
Damn.
I couldn't find any veins. And I'm like,
that's
this
smart,
is the most amazing thing ever. And I fucking, I'm not even worried about my hand not working.
Yeah, no,
It's
you don't really
open-
need that.
Open wound and a drain and shit. And I'm fucking running, had a friend pick me up, and now I'm just shooting through this PICC line for the next week. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
That's genius. Yeah, I didn't
crazy.
even think of that.
Yeah.
But it's just the lengths that we go to. Yeah, you know what? But it's just the lengths that we go to. It's
know.
fucking insane.
It is.
Goddamn. All right. So then what? Now you know.
Now I'm half-assing it.
Yeah.
you
I was
know?
gonna say yeah.
Running around half an ass.
Now I understand what you were saying. Yeah. The half-ass attorney. Okay, got it.
We had to get there for our to understand.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
what's a half-ass attorney, dude?
Yeah.
Wow. That's what it is.
It was crazy. Yeah. That wasn't enough though. You know, nothing was enough to stop me. So, and it was just this cycle of same shit over and over, you know, go to rehab, run away, go find someone else to stay with until I steal from them and they kick me out, and then do it again. And so in the end, it was 2015. And I had been, so at the end of 2014, at the beginning of 2014, I had gone to detox twice. I also caught 3 cases between 2014 and 2015. One I had been sentenced for, the other 2 I was awaiting sentencing on. So I had a probation officer on that first case.
What was it? Just like possession?
Yeah,
sales,
possession.
intent?
paraphernalia because I had a needle, false declaration to a pawn shop because I would steal shit and then try to go sell it, receiving stolen property.
Okay.
Just like
all the drug addict shit.
Just dumb shit. Yeah, nothing
that
major.
Petty drug addict.
Yeah.
You know. Okay.
And I mean, I wish I'm a Libra and the sign is like the scales of justice, right? So in my head, I was always like, I was meant to be a drug dealer. I mean, obviously. I was a terrible drug dealer though. And I wish I could have been a good one, but I just did all the drugs and then never went back to whoever I got the drugs from to pay them to get more, you know. Anyway.
So where does it end?
Yeah.
Take us to that, to the D-Day, like.
Okay, every time it gets really bad, I call my mom. So it's starting to get really bad. I call my mom. She doesn't answer, which good for her. She started turning her phone off and not answering my phone calls, which probably saved my life. Quit paying for attorneys, quit bonding me out of jail, all that shit.
The codependency finally just reached its limit.
Yes, and actually, crazy side note, so we had like a family therapist who sent my dad to treatment and me to treatment and all these people, okay? And I guess my mom was sitting in there crying to him one day and he was like, you know, what you should do is lead by example. And she's like, okay. And he's like, you know, there's a place in New Mexico for codependency, 30-day inpatient treatment center. My mom went to this 30-day inpatient treatment center for codependency where she could not have sodas. She could not drink or read like anything that was not like 12-step literature. And she's like a big reader, you know. I mean, she did that to prove to me that I could do it, you know.
Wow.
But I think that really helped her because then she quit paying for shit and everything, which ended up saving my life. So I call her, she doesn't answer. I text her, I'm like, Mom, I need to go to rehab. She texts me back, that's great, call me when you get there. I'm like, fuck, what am I gonna do now, you know? She was still paying for my insurance. So I start calling around. I found a treatment center that would let me smoke cigarettes. That was my only requirement. I told everybody for like a month.
That's real.
I'm going to tomorrow I'm going to rehab. Got to do it big tonight. Tomorrow I'm going to rehab, you know. I end up stealing from someone who kicks me out. And I was also dating a guy at the time that he was physically and emotionally abusive and would say shit like, you know, if your willpower was just stronger, then you could stop this. Or if you loved God enough, you could just stop this. And like, I knew that wasn't true, but I also felt like everything was my fault. So anyways, I'm staying at this random house. I get kicked out. My option is to go back to this guy that I know we're going to get a knockdown drag out, or go to rehab, which they know I'm coming. They've known for a month I'm coming. So I'm like, fuck it. I drive myself to Texas in the middle of the night. And check myself into rehab for the 8th time. And in my head, I'm like, you just got to complete treatment. You've never completed treatment. You always run away early. It's not going to work, right? You've already done all this stuff that they tell you to do, and it doesn't work for someone like you. You're going to end up in prison, but at least if you complete treatment, maybe your mom will feel sorry for you and put money on your books when you get there. So it was like manipulation till the very end. Yeah. And I went in there and was like, you know what? I'm just going to do everything they tell me to do so I could prove that it's not going to work, you know? Right. And then it worked. So...
Isn't that crazy how that fucking happens?
Yeah.
So how much time do you have now?
On the 27th, I'll have 10 years.
Wow.
I know.
Amazing.
I can't believe it. Thank you.
Okay. So you so how long did you stay at this treatment center for?
It was less than 30 days, like 20, 23, 25 days, something like that.
So it was like a month program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go there, and when you say you did everything, like what did that look like? Like walk us through like your recovery journey.
So I mean, before other places I had gone, I just pushed back on everything. Like, you have to get up and go to your classes. And I'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that. Or, you know, I'd try to sneak something in, or I'd this. So this time I went to every single class. I sat up front. I took notes. They would give you packets for like steps. So like step 1 packet. So like instead of doing movie night on Friday, I'd be in my room doing step 1, which I also think in my head, I thought the faster I do this stuff, the faster I get to go home.
Yeah.
So I was doing all that. At one point I had a friend who lived in Texas, and I knew I could call. Also, this place, you were allowed to keep your cell phone, and you were allowed to leave in your own car for 2 hours a day.
Whoa.
Which is another reason I went there.
Holy shit.
And actually, it ended up screwing me because you had to be over 25 to do those things. You get moved to the second floor. Like once you're out of detox, you can drive your car 2 hours a day, keep your phone. Well, I was 25. I was not over 25. So it didn't work. But I did get to drive my car to a movie theater one time. We all went together, and I did sneak my phone in. So I had my phone. But I told... So in my head, I was thinking, I have this friend. She can bring me some Xanax. She will. She's cool. You can have visitors whenever you want, basically. The guy... So I keep saying the guy I was dating, we kind of... did like a half-ass courthouse marriage thing because my probation officer said I had to. So we had a marriage certificate.
Wait, your probation officer.
Yeah. So
Yeah, let's get in. Let's unpack that.
Now we're coming
Let's
from an
unpack
attorney.
that.
Like, wait, walk me through this. What?
You're basically
Okay.
like, yeah, this husband that I had.
yeah, I don't like saying
On
that 'cause he
paper.
wasn't really.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go see my probation officer one day. You have to tell him who you live with and all this shit. And they're like, homeboy is a felon and just got out of prison. And you
You can't
cannot
live
live with a
okay.
felon
Yeah.
unless
Unless
you're
you're
married or immediate family.
Mm.
And I said, say less. I'll solve this problem.
Shut.
And went to the courthouse and got married. So when I go to rehab, I have a marriage certificate. So they let him come stay at the rehab in my room overnight.
Because you're
Stop.
Because we
married.
were legally married.
So
Is
it's
that
like
not
a
crazy?
conjugal-
I need to know. We're not going to blast him right now, but I need to know what treatment center.
So this was like
that's
they would
fucking
allow
insane.
conjugal visits,
Yeah, basically, yes.
Holy shit!
Overnight, yeah.
bro.
Wow,
It was crazy, yeah.
This
I
is in
ne-
Texas.
Yes, and I had never,
Bro.
I mean, I've been to a lot of rehabs at this point, nice ass rehabs, you know? And I was
Yeah.
like, this is wild.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
So,
Crazy.
a couple things happened. Number one, that friend that I knew would bring me some shit. Instead of calling her, I went and told my therapist, like, hey, these are the thoughts I'm having. He made me carry around a skunk for a week for stinking thinking. But it was like the first time I had ever told on myself. You know what I mean? Instead of doing what I thought about.
Yeah, yeah.
And the second thing that happened is when that guy came to visit, and I was like trying to take him to these classes with me so he could like understand. They were like family courses so he could understand.
Was he an addict himself or no?
He was using, yes, but he
But he
wasn't
wasn't,
like
like-
strung out like I
okay,
was. Yeah.
okay.
But he wouldn't really pay attention in the classes. And I'm like, look, this is going to show you why I do what I do. And you know, he just acted like I was fucking stupid. And I had on a white t-shirt and he had been eating Cheetos and he grabbed me and like threw me. And so I kicked him out. I'm like, you got to go, whatever. And then I go out and I'm like talking to my friends and I'm like, oh, you know, trying to cover it up. Nothing happened. And they're like, bitch, you got a handprint.
Cheetos.
Something happened. And so that was the first time that people around me were like, you realize this is not your fault. Like when people put their hands on you, that's not your fault and you don't deserve that. And I don't care how high you are. And, you know, that kind of made me realize like, I'm trying to hold on to something here that is not good for me. And, you know, in my head, I'm like, now we're married. I got to make it work. Luckily, I was so high that I never turned in our marriage certificate. So I didn't have to get a divorce.
Thank God.
I swear.
Thank God.
I swear.
Oh
Thank
my
God.
Yeah.
God, that is great.
God doing for me what I couldn't do for myself at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Thank God. So I got sober. I moved back to Oklahoma City. I went to sober living for the first time, which I had said for years I'm never going to do because I don't like bitches. I'm not living with a bunch of bitches. It changed my life though, because it gave me sober friends. We all had to go to meetings, you know. I mean, I had no sense of like anything. Like I stayed up, I mean, there were no rules, you know. I stayed up all night. I would knock on people's door at 4:00 in the morning. If they didn't answer, I'd go to the window. Like that's not normal behavior, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
And so being in sober living taught me like how to do a chore and how to show up on time.
Were you in
and how to get a
Oxford?
job. Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
That's
Oxford
great.
changed my life.
Yeah,
I
same.
love that.
Yeah, I met my first best friend, my first real friend. And she and I just became BFFs and did everything together. And she introduced me to everybody she knew. And I met, which I had gone to the detox a few times. And so I met this guy in detox who I called and he hooked me up with a lady who was my sponsor, who I asked to sponsor me before I went to treatment.
Were you still in your petty mode now? Like this is not going to work? Or were you kind of realizing that like, oh shit, maybe I can actually do this? Like,
By the time I graduated rehab, I was like, I can do this.
okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. And so when I left rehab, I remember I called my mom, I called my sponsor, and I called the sober house girl. And I'm like, my GPS says 2 hours and 37 minutes. If I'm not there in 2 hours and 37 minutes, y'all come find me. You know, like I was ready to, that just gave
Do
me
it.
chills. I was
Yeah.
ready to hold myself accountable. I didn't know
Yeah.
that's what I was doing at the time,
sure.
you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
but yeah. So I go
So
to
how long did you stay there?
6 months in sober
6 months.
living.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got a little rent house. And I couldn't get a job at first because I had all this shit on my background, right? And
Yeah.
so I finally found this job in Craigslist that was like in this little office building. And I go in and the guy's like, you know, yeah, we're super chill. Like, I'm not going to pay you a lot, but you get to drive here and there. And I'm going to give you gas money. We get a 2-hour lunch. Like, are you down? And I was like, yeah, cool. And the next day I come back and he's like, okay, so what we do here is we run background checks for businesses and we're going to run yours first. And I was like, fuck. But he's like, are we going to find anything? I mean, what did I have to lose at this point? So I was like, yeah, you're going to find some stuff. You know, I've been sober for like 42 days and give me a chance, please. I have one. And he's like, okay. And he looked it up and he's like, that's okay. You know, I mean, there wasn't anything that I could really steal there or whatever. Like I'm running other people's backgrounds. And I'd go to the courthouse twice a day in my little car. Oh, I had a breathalyzer too, because one of my charges was DUI. So I'd blow my little breathalyzer and go into meetings, taking people from this detox that I went to rehab all around Oklahoma. Met LJ pretty early on, my now husband. And so we started going to meetings together. And
how did you and LJ meet?
So he lived at a sober house that used to have a meeting at the house every Thursday night. And so me and my little friend would go there and they would be there, you know. And so we became Facebook friends and we started hanging out. And I was actually still dating my ex when we became friends. And then, I don't know, it's like right after I got sober, stuff just became clear. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is never going to work. I can't be with someone who thinks that addiction is a moral disease or a moral issue, is not a disease. It has to do with willpower, has to do with any of that. You know what I mean? Like and he would like just say things about the meetings and the people at the meetings. And I was like, I can't have this in one ear and when I'm trying to do this on the other side, you know? So we broke up. And then, you know, LJ and I started hanging out more and started dating and he was in sober living. I was in sober living, which they tell you not to do. I don't recommend it because we were both batshit crazy. But we did really focus on, he went to men's meetings. I went to women's meetings. We went to events and stuff on the weekends together.
Sometimes it works.
I feel like that is the only way that it works is if you separate recoveries. Because I think so often, I was very guilty of this. And that's why I didn't stay sober, because as soon as I would cling on to someone, I'm like, okay, we're doing all of our meetings together. We're going to do this together and this together. We're going to be together every single second of every single day. And you're gonna be my sponsor, and I'm gonna be your sponsor, and you're my higher power, and I'm yours, and like that's like the only way that the situations that I've seen that have worked out is if you are still able to have your own recoveries and focus on that. Yeah. And he had like a hardcore sponsor that made him call every morning at 9 a.m. on the dot. If you called at 9:01, he wouldn't answer. And so he did that and worked his steps. And like before we moved in together, we had our sponsors come over and they like blessed us moving in, and you know what I mean? Like we didn't do anything without their blessing. Oh, I love that. Which looking back, I'm glad, because we were batshit crazy. And I mean, I still am sometimes, but so after that, I work at that background checking company for like a year. And then I was like, you know what? I want to go back to school. I want to be a drug and alcohol counselor because I want to help people like us, obviously. And so I already had that 2-year degree from when I was sober before. And so I go to a 4-year college and I start taking all these classes. And by the way, every semester, which for the last like 5 years, it feels like I have enrolled in classes so that I can show my mom, look, I'm in school. I'm doing so well. Give me some money. And then I just never go and I never drop out and I never withdraw. So I have all these F's and incompletes on my transcript. So I go back to school and I have this 2-year degree for translating, interpreting Spanish with a legal emphasis. And then I start going to school for business. And now I'm going to school for therapy. And so I have all these random credits and I finally go to I knew at this point I was going to get a master's degree. And so I go to my advisor and I'm like, how can I graduate the fastest? She's like, a bachelor in general studies. You can get a minor in substance abuse studies. I'm like, okay, bet, let's do that. So we did that. I loved school. I still love school. I'm like kind of nerdy now. I like sitting up front, answering all the questions and whatever. And so I finished that. I graduated in like 2018. I applied to this master's program and they did not let me in. And I just remember because of your background or because of the failure, the record.
I didn't have all the classes I needed, but my dumb ass applied anyways. Like I was special once again.
Don't worry,
you know,
they're gonna get me.
Yeah. It's fine. I'll take those later.
I'm me.
So I call my husband. I'm crying. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna work for $7 an hour for the rest of my life. This is going to be miserable. You know, I'm calling my mom. They're like, okay, Sarah, you're being dramatic. Calm down. And then, you know, when I got that 2-year degree with the legal emphasis, it was because I wanted to be an attorney. And so
where did that come from? You just wanted to help. Like, where did wanting to be an attorney come from?
So in Oklahoma, which probably here too, I had a lot of friends in high school that were Hispanic and their parents who didn't have the proper paperwork and stuff to be here. And I got to see how they were treated. And so I wanted to be an immigration attorney. That's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Got it.
Love that. So once they didn't let me in this master's program, I'm like, what if I went to law school?
That's why the Spanish
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. So my mom and my husband are like, that would be pretty cool. So I start calling around and researching, and I'm like, can a felon become an attorney in Oklahoma? Yeah, there's no law that says you can't.
For sure.
Can a drug addict become an attorney? There's nobody, you know.
Yeah.
So you have to do all this stuff. You have to take a test. You have to disclose every time you've been questioned, detained, arrested, convicted, fired from a job, kicked out of school, everywhere you've lived since you're 18, all this shit, right? And so I spent the next year doing all these things. I had a packet of stuff I had to disclose. But by this point, I'm like 5 years sober, and I'm like, what do I have to lose? You know, like I'm going to be brutally honest. I'm going to tell them every single thing I could possibly tell them.
Right.
And it can't be worse than no. I mean, that's the worst thing they can say.
Right.
And so I do all this stuff and I apply. At this point, LJ and I had already gotten married. His son had moved in with us. He was like 12 when he moved in. So I couldn't like go out of state to school or anything. So there were like 2 schools within, you know, driving distance of our house. So I applied to those 2 schools. One of them was a little harder to get in. The other one, I was like slam dunk for sure. You can go online and like look at stats and see like this people with this test score and this GPA, how many of them get in. So I'm like, yeah, I'm getting in for sure. So the dean calls, I'm working at a hair salon now. I'm a receptionist. And the dean calls me one day and she talks for like 10 minutes. Like, we're so proud of you. This is so amazing what you've done with your life and blah, blah, blah. And, but you're on active probation and we can't let anyone in law school who's on active probation.
Oh.
And I just remember being crushed again. Like, this is 2019. I don't get off probation until the end of 2021, which means I can't start law school until August of 2022.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be like 33 by then, I think.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
I don't know. In my head, it was just like this
it's too much.
Yeah, big, huge deal.
Right.
Again, I call my husband, I'm crying. I call my mom, I'm crying. They're like, call your attorney. And I'm like, my attorney is also sober and he's a great attorney and very well known in Oklahoma and all of that. But I'm like, he can't make them let me in law school. You know what I mean? Like, what's he going to do? Anyways, I call him. He is kind of like a mentor. And so I'm crying. He knows that I'm trying to get into law school. And I tell him, and he's like, bring me everything good you've done since you got sober. So inpatient
We're gonna try
rehab.
to get you off probation.
Yeah, inpatient rehab, sober living for 6 months, all your volunteer work. Part of my sentence when I finally got sentenced on those cases was 3 random drug tests a month for 2 years. So I had all those clean drug tests. You know, my GPA was all A's after I got sober. So he takes all that stuff to the judge and the judge dismissed all 3 of those cases a year and a half early.
Wow.
Amazing.
I know. And I call the dean back and I'm like, guess what? I'm not on probation anymore. And I don't know that she believed me. She was like, you're going to have to bring us proof of that. And we're going to have a meeting. In the meantime, my attorney gives me a job. So now I'm sitting up front answering phones at the same place that represented me as a
law
criminal.
firm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And a few days later, she called back and she said, we're going to let you in and we're going to give you a scholarship so you can start this summer. I know.
Wow.
So I started law school in 2019. I graduated in 2022. Number 13 in my class, which you're not really supposed to say, but I'm like, fuck that.
You better say it.
Yeah. Fuck that. I actually spoke at a meeting the other night and I said that. And afterwards, there were 2 guys, one who just passed the bar and one who's in his first year at my law school. And he was like, I'm currently sitting at number 1. And I'm like, good for you.
Wow.
Tell everybody, please.
Yeah.
Because I hate that we keep this a secret. I don't know why I mean, I get you're like supposed to be humble or whatever, but like we've come from the trenches, you know, like people need to hear that we've changed.
God, it's so cool. It's a great story. Wow. I feel like it's just, there's so many stories of like when you get sober and you do the right thing, there's so many doors that just continue to open.
Yeah.
Right? And like, there's so many things that you can't predict.
Yeah.
Right. That when you just put the effort, right? And like you said, like, what's the worst that could happen? They say no. Mm-hmm. But what's the best that could happen?
Yeah.
You know? Like you get a scholarship, you get let in, they dismiss your cases. I mean, that's all just because you were like, what if?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, so when she called me back to let me in law school, she was like, listen, you're applying to this school and I'm letting you in this school, but that has nothing to do with the Oklahoma Bar Association. And they get to choose whether or not you get to sit for the bar exam. So you need to call them and see if they're going to let you. And I'm like, okay. So I call them and they're like, we'll see. It depends. So I really went to law school on a hope and a dream that once you get half your credits, you can become a licensed legal intern. And so I had to go through what they call a character and fitness, which is the same thing. You have to disclose all these things, tell them everywhere you've lived, blah, blah, and hope that the Oklahoma Bar Association agrees with your law school, which mine
To let
did.
you in. Yeah.
But I mean, that too was like a what if. I mean, and I just had to keep telling myself, like, I remember they didn't approve me, but they didn't deny me. They gave me an interview. So I had to go have an interview with this guy. He asked me all these questions. Again, I was brutally honest. Honestly, he cared more about my current speeding tickets than he did about my past charges.
Oh, wow.
Because he was like, this is you currently breaking the law. This is old shit, right?
You're like, I was 10 miles an hour. I was like, I was late.
Yeah. So he made me take like an online defensive driving course. I was like, I'll do whatever you tell me to do.
Wow.
And then, you know, they had to have a meeting, and I remember getting that call saying that they accepted me, and I just cried. I didn't realize how like nervous I was, because in my head I was like, God did not bring me this far to only bring me this far. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to let me do this. He would not have had me do all this just to be like, just kidding, you know. But when I got that call, I just broke down and cried and was like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. I'm really going to become an attorney, you know, which is so crazy. I still can't believe it. I've been an attorney for 3 years now, and I'm still like, what?
God damn. So what kind of law do you practice?
So I ended up going into like corporate transactional contract drafting, oil and gas world. Which is not what I planned, but I got a good job offer, and
I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't have to go to court every day. I get to wear hoodies and stuff to work. My boss is like, oh, you're going to California for a podcast? Cool. Just work on the plane on the way there. I don't care.
So dope.
You know? Yeah. It's turned out to be really cool.
But it's so much of that whole idea of like, you know, so many people, I mean, God, I see so many people get sober and they get stuck in the whole like, oh, this is not possible. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, I'm never going to get that job.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm never going to, you know, XYZ. Right.
Yeah.
And because of that belief, right, they never try.
Yeah.
Right. And then they stay in this place of like not having or not doing or, you know, not becoming. And it's like so much of just like, what if, and taking the chance and showing up, and like all this cool shit can happen.
Yeah.
I just think that's so fucking cool.
That's
you know?
living proof. That's
like,
a lawyer, bitch. What?
Yeah.
That's like, could you imagine in your addiction when you were at your worst? Could you ever have even imagined that?
No. And you know, you hear people say this all the time. Like, if I would have sat down and wrote all my biggest hopes and dreams and goals on a piece of paper when I first got sober, I would have said, I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to die. And I don't want my mom to have to cry herself to sleep anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never would have put becoming a lawyer, getting married to a man who loves me just for who I am and, you know, doesn't expect anything from me, getting to raise his kids, which is another crazy thing that's happened along the way. You know, in October, my mom died and it was like sudden and out of nowhere. And like, you don't, I mean, and everybody knows their parents are going to die someday, you know what I mean? But like, she was healthy and fine and
unexpected.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. And so, but I didn't have to get high. You know what I mean? I get to stay sober through that. And I get to be an example to other people that like, you don't, no matter what happens, no matter who you lose or what you go through or whatever, like, I don't have to get high to cover it up anymore. Right. I never would have imagined that I could say that, you know?
It's crazy.
Because I got high for no reason before.
Right.
You know?
For every reason.
Because it was morning and evening and light and dark and hot and cold and
God, what a great story.
Okay, one more thing I have to tell you guys though.
Yeah.
It's a very important part of the story. So when I met my husband, he had 2 kids, 11-year-old boy who moved in with us when he was like 12 or 13, and a 2-year-old girl. They had different moms, okay? And so the boy lived in our town and his family was pretty involved in his life. And, you know, he chose to live with us when we moved in together and whatever, right? But the little girl, she had a different mom and my husband didn't really have contact with her. I mean, like she would come for holidays sometimes, but I had never met her because this is when we, you know, first couple years we were dating. I didn't really go to holidays and stuff. Anyway, once we move in, we get married, we're talking about, should we have more kids? What are we going to do next? And I'm like, you got to get a hold of this little girl's mom, you know, because I can't just have a bunch of kids and then she shows up one day and is like, what the fuck? You guys never came for me. You knew my mom was getting high, you know? And so he reaches out to the mom. They are supposed to like make something happen. I think they purposely avoided each other, not purposely, but like subconsciously. I think he knew we were going to have to take her and the mom was scared we were going to take her. And so they just kind of, anyways, so a year after I get into law school, DHS calls and says, we need to have a safety meeting. This little girl's not in a safe place. And so we go to the safety meeting. It's my husband and I, the mom, 2 random tweakers that this little girl had been living with, and like 6 caseworkers. And they said they sent her home from school one day because her mouth was swollen and she never came back. And so then they were like looking for her. When they ended up finding her, she had shown up at a forensic interview with some other little girl who was like being interviewed over assault of some sort. And so they look into Jazzy's living situation. She's living in a camper in the middle of nowhere with like no running water and shit, with 2 random tweakers that she's not related to. She's not going to school.
God damn.
She tells them like, you know, my mom only does the green drugs, not the white drugs. Like just crazy. She's 7 at this time. Just crazy shit she should never know. And I'm sitting in this meeting. My husband and I are both crying and we're like, we want her. She's coming to our house. This is done. Okay. And so the DHS worker comes to our house and looks to make sure it's safe. And the next week she moves in. I'd never met her the day she moved in. She's 7 years old and she knocks on the door. The people she lived with brought her over, and I'll never forget, I opened that door and she's just like so full of life, little blonde baby, and she's like, hi Sarah, my name's Jazzy. And she comes in and like looks around, and you know, by this point we like set her up a room. We had a few days notice and like got her some stuff. And I mean, she was like a little wild animal, right? Like in fight or flight all the time. Didn't know who to trust. You know, I look back at pictures and I can just see like how traumatized she was. It's crazy to look at a picture and be like, oh my God, she was not okay, you know? But now she's been with us for like 5 years and you would never know. I mean, you see her today and she's just like another little sassy 12-year-old, thriving. Lots of therapy, lots of tutoring.
Asking for help was one of the greatest choices I've made to overcome my addiction.
If you or a loved one that you know is struggling with addiction, don't hesitate. You can reach out to any of us at any time to find help.
And the most recent development, so her mom did end up getting sober like 2 years ago. Her mom went to rehab and her mom's doing well, had another little kid and got married to the guy she had the kid with. And, you know, they're doing good. And her mom are building their relationship back. But after my mom died, I guess everything just kind of came into focus for me of like, if LJ died, I would have no rights to her. I would have no way to protect her. You know, she wants to be with me. She's asked me for years, like, will you adopt me? Will you adopt me? And I'm like, yes, of course. But we're both kind of codependent. Don't want to hurt mom's feelings. And so after my mom died, all that went out the window and it was just like me in mama bear protection mode. And so Jazzy and I sat down and talked about it again. And I'm like, are you sure this is what you want? Like, I will talk to your mom, but you're going to have to tell her at some point, like she needs to hear from you to know that this is what you want. And she's like, yeah, I'll tell her. So I talked to mom, who at first was like, respectfully, no, I'm not agreeing to that. But after we talked more and I told her the reasons and everything, she called me and she cried and was like, I really don't want to do this, but because Jazzy is asking me to, I will. And so she's going to consent for me to adopt her. And, you know, we've hired an attorney and drafted all the paperwork and we're going to be filing it. I actually just got it in the email. I need to review it and send it back to them, but
so soon.
Soon. And what I didn't know, the craziest thing, I mean, not, it's all crazy. When you get adopted, you get a new birth certificate. So like, I'll be the parent on her birth certificate.
God.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So before I got sober, I had this dog who I also had to put down in July. So I lost my dog and my mom in like 3 months, which was terrible. But his name was Ace, and he was like my best friend. It was me and him in that room with my butt is swollen and infected. You know what I mean? Me and him in the trenches. Yes. Yeah. And he was 15 when he died. So, you know, the first 6 years of his life, he was in the trenches with me. And I couldn't even take care of him. I couldn't even feed him. I mean, I was feeding him like old bread and cheese and anything I could find because I didn't have money to buy drugs and feed him. Yeah. You know, I didn't buy toilet paper. I just like steal napkins from 7-Eleven, you know, and then I get sober and God gives me this crazy life where I get to take care of these little humans and not just take care of them, but help them thrive, you know? And, I don't know, Jazzy just came from this, like such a broken, sad place. And now I get to be the parent, like her safe place, the person that she relies on and the person that she knows is going to be here no matter what. And I don't know, it just goes back to what we were saying, the what ifs, you know, I was terrified. I wasn't so scared when Colton moved in because he was like 12 or 13 and, you know, he could bathe himself and all that stuff. Also, his mom and his grandparents are within like 10 minutes of us. So it's not that big of a deal. But when this little girl moved in, I had no idea how to be a parent of a 7-year-old. You know, I didn't even know like what do 7-year-olds eat? How do they bathe? Like, what do they wear? You know? But it's that what if you were talking about of like, what if first of all, what if I don't do it and she ends up having to live where she's at for longer? And second of all, what if I do and it turns into this where she trusts me and wants me to be her parent, you know? And I have a million of those stories, you know?
Yeah.
Just
It's
never
incredible.
ending.
It's
Yeah.
a beautiful thing. I'm so proud of you, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so proud.
It's amazing. I mean, that's a lot in 10 years.
I know.
What you've done in 10 years.
I know. It's
It's
crazy.
amazing. It's incredible. I feel like people need to hear these stories because I feel like, I mean, you got sober at 25. It's like the best time to get sober, I think. You know, it's like that mid 20s. You don't know what you're going to do with your life, you know? And it's like, I'm always trying to tell guys and girls when they get sober, it's like, dude, you can do anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
You can literally you can do anything.
Yeah.
And people always get like when they get sober, like your life's a dumpster fire, right? Like everything's gone. Like no one's talking to you. And I'm always like, dude, that's the greatest place ever to be.
Yeah.
Because like you can literally go in any direction you want.
Right.
Like you're totally free.
Yeah.
Like you can go in any direction. Anything could happen. You could be an attorney and have this awesome life and get married and like adopt these kids that are now yours and like it's amazing. Like it could be anything.
Yeah.
You know, and like you're such an example of that. Right.
Yeah.
That like your life can literally turn into like the most amazing thing.
Yeah, it's so
Just
hard to
do
fathom
it,
that
you know?
when
Just
you're
do it, just
before you
like-
get sober, or even early sober though. You know what I mean? It's
No,
like,
you're stuck in this place of
it's
like,
like
it's
the
fucked.
limitations that we put
Right.
on our own
Yes.
brain. But I always tell I tell my sponsees and stuff all the time because I'll have sponsees that'll compare. They're like, how did you end up where you ended up? And I'm like, dude, I literally just did the next right thing. Like
Right.
everything that has happened in my life has basically fallen in my lap and fallen into place, you know? There's literally, you can do anything and we limit ourselves so much in addiction and early sobriety. But, and it's hard. It's hard to believe like anything, you know, after so long and feeling like a piece of shit. And then it's like, it's fucking literally anything. I never
scary.
imagined my life like this ever.
Yeah, it's scary, right? It's scary to take some of those first actions.
Right.
yeah.
Right. Like it's scary to pick up that phone. It's scary to, you know, call your probation officer and be like, you know, it's scary. It's just scary. Right. And it's like, I'd rather not do it because I'm going to fail anyways.
Right.
And like, this is one of those stories. It's like an example of like, if you can develop enough faith and trust in God and just pick up the phone and take the action and do the thing.
Yeah.
Fucking your life could be crazy cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Crazy cool.
I heard this guy say the other day, like the stigma, there is a stigma obviously against drug addicts, but the biggest stigma is the one we put on ourselves.
Oh, for sure.
And that is so true. Cause in my head, I'm like, I can't be a lawyer and a drug addict, a lawyer and a felon, a lawyer and a this. Like, yes, you can. I mean, there are a couple states you can't be a felon, but
There are some stipulations.
for the most part,
Yeah.
like it's just limitless.
Yeah.
We can do so many things and we don't believe we can. So
Yeah.
gotta start believing in yourselves,
That's
baby.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who is at home watching this and struggling, what would it be?
I would say do it scared. Everything good in my life I've done scared. I got sober scared. I got married scared. I went to rehab scared. I went to law school scared. My kids moved in scared. Came out here and did this podcast scared. I'm going to adopt this kid scared. You know, we're about to build a house. I'm going to do that scared. Everything good in my life, I said, I'm terrified, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Hell yeah.
How do you get to the other side if you don't do it, even though you're scared? And sometimes I don't even admit I'm scared. I don't even realize I was scared until I look back and I'm like, oh shit, I was
scared.
terrified. I was just pretending to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thanks for coming out. I can't wait for people to hear this episode because your story is just incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's gonna be
I
good.
forgot. So I told we had this dinner the other night it was like a fundraiser. And I told my dad I'm going to California and he's like, why? And I told him and then the next day he texted me, he said, send me that podcast. I'm going to be listening. I'm like, oh God.
That's great.
I know. I mean, he knows the story. He lived through it. My stepdad.
Yeah,
My real
yeah,
dad
yeah,
died,
yeah.
obviously.
Yeah,
but yeah, he knows the story. He lived through it, but it's still nerve wracking because
It's always, I feel like it's always, I feel like
Yeah.
also the more you do stuff like this, the easier it gets.
For
Like,
sure.
you know, then and you kind of desensitize them over a while. You're
Yeah.
like, okay, by your 15th podcast, you know, a year from now or whatever, when you're doing all these law things and you're just sharing more of your story and whatever, and then dad's heard it 15 times, he's going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, currently he's like, Sarah, stop posting your mugshot online, and I'm like, but Dad,
I
you
need
gotta
to.
see it.
It's hope.
Yes, you
Right.
gotta see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's hard, especially for normal people. Well, you said he is sober, so
Yeah.
but also generation wise, it's
Yes.
very different. And
Yes.
I think that a lot of people don't really understand that, like, the reason why we share all of this, like, nitty gritty, the bad, the ugly, all of it is so that we can give those people that are in that exact place the hope that they can get to where we are today.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, because I love when sober people see my stuff or when families see my stuff or whatever. But really, who I want to see it is the girl scrolling her phone that's not sober yet.
Right.
That doesn't believe she can
Exactly.
stop. That's the
Right.
one that I want to see and be like, oh my God, if this girl can do it, so can I.
Yeah, or that girl who's in like week 3 of
Yes.
detox residential and is like, I want to leave,
Right.
Yes.
or I can't do this,
Right.
or I want to, you know what I mean, like that.
yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's great.
So if you see this, Dad, hi, I love you.
Hi, Dad. We love her too. She's so proud.